Hey guys, I hope you had a very interesting video, the last one, where we try to understand what are agentic system, agentic AIs, and the hallmarks of what makes a system truly agentic in nature. And we also saw many outputs from multiple LLMs. Now we came out with the idea of frontier models and local models, right? So the scope of today's video is what did I meant about the frontier models or the local models. Now there are multiple open models, right, which are running in our, which can be run in our local, and there are very handful of, let's say, five frontier models. So we'll run through those models and see what are those, the names, and the local models. The second part of this video is what are the different ways of running different models. Now, as we know, the LLM is the brain, and that brain is run by multiple models. Let's say, for example, for OpenAI, the GPT models, there are multiple GPT models. What we have 4.0 mini, 4.0, or many others, right? So these are the models. So we'll run through that, how do we utilize this, or how do we use this model in different ways. And the third part is we'll look into a platform. I think this is the most interesting part of this video, is we'll look into a platform that helps us run the local models, and we'll see what are the advantages and disadvantages of this. So this is also going to be a very interesting and informative video. Stay tuned, and let's head over to my laptop.
Okay, so let's talk about the term frontier models. Now, the term frontier refers to the LLM that are pioneering what's possible today. That's the largest possible models, right? It's two big models. We will see there are huge parameters that we cannot run those in our local systems. They need cloud based to run those models. So these are huge, very big in size as well as in parameter, and often people refers to frontier models, they refer to closed source models, which are the paid models, right? We know about this ChatGPT or the Claude models, or actually the GPT models, not the ChatGPT, but the Claude models, the GPT models, or Grok. Now, sometimes people also refer to frontier models to open source also when they refer to their biggest or the strongest open source model. Let's say, for example, we are using LLaMA, which is an open source model, which we will see in the in a bit moment. They have multiple parameters of small bits size, and their biggest is like huge in some GBs, right, which we cannot run in our local, and we need some cloud to run, maybe Google Cloud, right? So even that biggest model, or the strongest model of LLaMA is a frontier model. So depending on what context it is the people are talking, it depends on the frontier word or the term will refer to closed or open, but for most of the time it is referring to the closed source models. And then what are these are very super scalars. They are the largest, highest scale of the models that we can, and the first is ChatGPT, right? The GPT models from OpenAI. OpenAI came in 2022, and from then we came to understand what is the power of the GPT models. Soon then, Claude came up. Claude by Anthropic. It is one of the best models, or I would say it is one of the go-to model by any data scientist or AI professional. And Claude and GPT are always neck to neck. In most of the cases, you will see Claude will be on top of any of the leaderboards. Now then comes Gemini. Gemini has huge context windows models. Their recent is 2.5 Gemini Flash. And then there comes Command R, which is from Cohere, a very good model, a company from Canada, a Canadian company. We have Grok. It is now Grok 4, which is the recent model recently released. Grok is by XAI, which is from Elon Musk. Grok 4 is making these news everywhere because of its power, sheer power, and everything. And then the last one is Perplexity. This itself is not an LLM, but Perplexity's main aim is it is a search engine. Now, all these models like GPT, Claude, Grok, and everything can be used inside Perplexity, but Perplexity has its own models also to run. But Perplexity is a search engine, and if you might be seeing that Perplexity is the front runner and the competitor of our beloved Google Chrome. So that's what closed source models are. Okay, let's talk more about open source frontier models, I would say. Uh, Now, why these are open source and why there is closed source is because when we speak about open source, we are able to know what is their architecture, what is their parameters, what is their context, tokenizers, everything which is available, or their license pattern, whether they can be used for commercial purpose by us for building applications. So that's why they are open source, the name is. So the first thing is LLaMA. Now LLaMA is one of the best open source model by Meta, and I said earlier, for open source there are multiple. It comes in multiple sizes, and when we speak about size, it is always referred to the weights or the parameters that the model is having. So LLaMA has multiple different has different sizes, so as all these DeepSeek, Quan, Gemma, or Mistral. Quan is from Alibaba. It came after DeepSeek, but it is also one of the best open source model. It has the same ability to think and answer as DeepSeek has. And when DeepSeek came in, we saw what reasoning is all about. ChatGPT has a reasoning model of their own, right? Which we know, but and it's a frontier model which is closed source, right? But when DeepSeek came up, it was open source. So we were able to use DeepSeek's power of reasoning and then answering back. Then comes Gemma, and I said Google has both closed source and open source, which is the name of Gemma. Phi is Microsoft's small models. So there are two terms now. When we spoke about LLM, it is large language models, and then there is small language model, which is a term SLM. So Phi is one of the strongest contenders of the SLM models. And then comes Mistral by Mistral. This is also one of the very good model. It is like the name is a mixture of the best models, so we can name. So these are open source model. I hope you understood we name it as open source and why it is closed source, because of their architecture, because of their the layers, hidden layers, their tokenizers, context window, everything. We do not know what are those for the closed source, but for open source, for most of the models, we know that these are what are the architecture diagram and everything. So that's why these are closed source model, and we can use them locally, which we'll see later on. Now, let's talk a little bit more as we deep down, right? And we have been talking closed source and open source and how to use this. Now, let's talk how do we utilize or what is the way that we can use these models, the different ways of using these models. Now, all these models, the first thing is the chat interface, which is what we know as ChatGPT, and we are paying around $20 for almost ChatGPT. We have for Claude $20. Grok most probably it's $30. I don't know why they charge more, but yeah. So there is a chat window, and then we can access or whatever work we want to do can be done in the chat interface. The next part is the cloud APIs. Now this is where we are able to build applications, but we are using the same the closed source models, but you not directly in the chat window, but with the help of the API. The last video what we saw during the competition, we used ChatGPT models using API. We used Google's. So those are used API. Now, there is another way of using using LangChain, which is where it's more of a abstraction layer. It becomes much more easier to use these models when you are using LangChain. So that's something a different ball game itself. We'll see later on some of the videos. We'll build something with LangChain. And then there is another way of using the cloud APIs is where the managed AI cloud service providers like Amazon's Bedrock, Vertex AI is by Google, and then Azure ML from Microsoft. Now this is where we can actually use both the local models as well as the closed source models. The third piece and the most interesting part is the direct interface. Now, the direct interface can be done two ways, and this is where we can use local or free models, I would say. One is using Hugging Face. Now, we spoke about Hugging Face, which Hugging Face gave a definition in the previous video, where we can utilize transformer models. Now, understand also one more thing. All this GPT models or any models, when I spoke about the architecture, is nothing but these are the transformer architecture. Now, transformer architecture is when Google DeepMind gave an article as attention is all you need. Although I'm going a little astray, but just to give a context, what did I mean about model architecture? So there is a decoder and an encoder, and this is how a model is created. But yeah, so Hugging Face can be utilized with their libraries on tokenizers and everything, and any models of the the open source models can be used using Hugging Face. If you have never used Hugging Face, please go and look into Hugging Face website. It's one of the best place to know a lot of things. And the second is using Ollama. Now, Ollama is a layer where we can utilize or help. Ollama helps us to use these local models, download in our local system, and then utilize those LLMs and build application also in your local. So that's what all the three types or ways of using these models. One is chat, one is API, and one is direct interface. Now, one more thing I missed out while speaking with cloud APIs and chat is that the chat interface has a very specific price, around $20 or $30, depending on which chat window or model we are using. For cloud APIs, we are using pay as you go. So it is not a monthly charge subscription that we are doing. It's whenever whatever we are using, we will be charged based on the pricing of that model. Most probably the smallest GPT model that we use is 0.001. I'm not sure on that. Maybe I'll show you that sometimes later how the pricing of the model comes in, but it is pay as you go, and depending on what work we are doing, it will charge, and which model we are using. If we are using the best model, we'll be charged something different, and if we are using the less model, so depending on what work we do, the choice of model also depends. We should not use a very huge or bigger model for doing a very small work. That's where your cost optimization comes into picture. We'll see those definitely going forward, but this is what the different ways of using models. Okay, so that's all for the understanding. Now we'll see how to use Ollama. Okay, so this leads us to the last part of our video, is how do we run these local models by downloading in our local system. So what we'll use Ollama. What is Ollama? Ollama is, we can say it is a platform that helps us download local models and run those in our local system. So Ollama is built on C++. Now, Ollama was initially created to utilize the LLaMA models. That's why Ollama. But later on, as time passed, we can use all the other models. So, which we'll see. What we'll do now is we will go to Ollama. So you can go to Google, search Ollama, and it will come up like this. We can click on download, and based on if you are a Mac OS user, Linux or Windows user, select those like this and download accordingly. Now we are not going to see how to download, that's an easy process. We'll see how do we use it. Now once you are downloaded Ollama, we can use this as so this is the Ollama interface that comes up. Normally when the first time you download, you will not see anything here which is the models. Now I have downloaded this model, so that's why it's showing Quan 4 billion model right now. This is very similar, this interface is very similar to what ChatGPT looks like, right? But we can have access to multiple LLM models that are open source downloaded in our system, which we will see. So how do I download this model? And if I drop down this, you will see a lot of models that I have downloaded and tested. And we can download these models, by the way, from here straight away. That's a very good thing. But what are the other ways we can see? What we will do is, again, let's reduce this. We will go to the same Ollama from where we have downloaded and see the models. Now this is, you can call the model tree. This is all the places where all these models are available. We can see DeepSeek, Gemini, n number of models. There are n number of models available, either from embedding model, vision models, tools, and thinking, that is reasoning. Now remember we were talking about based on the weights, the size matters, right? Now if we see, go to DeepSeek, you can see there are multiple parameters or sizes of this model. These are the sizes, so 5.2 GB, 1.1 GB, and based on the parameter of the weights the model has, the size of the model will increase, right? So over here on the left hand side, we can see all the models with their parameter or weights that are available. So also remember one more thing, if you select DeepSeek, right, always understand what is the reason that you are using DeepSeek or any other model, right? If you go down, it will specifically tell you in some of the instances that what is model good at. So if you see, the model has demonstrated outstanding performance across various benchmarks, including mathematics, programming, engineering, logic. So it says it is very good in all these capabilities, right? So that doesn't mean that it is not good at in summarizing or anything, but there may be some other models. There will be some other models that are very good in other tasks that you are trying to do, right? So that's where choice of the model comes into picture here. Now one more thing, we spoke about the frontier open source model, right? Now for DeepSeek, if you see 671 billion is the highest or biggest model that they have in the parameter. So that's what the frontier model for DeepSeek is. Now, how do we download this model? Let's say we want to download this 1.5 billion model. Now, if you see here, LLaMA run DeepSeek R1. This is the syntax to run DeepSeek model. Now, we have to just copy this and paste it in your terminal. But one more thing, if we do this, we will be doing a mistake because we have to also specify which model we want. So we'll go to our terminal and then say Ollama run DeepSeek. Along with it, we'll specify the model, that is 1.5B. Now the moment we say, it will start downloading the first time. It will take some time. Now as you see, it is running. Since I have downloaded this model, it just came up, send a message. Now this send a message means this model and LLM is ready to answer all your queries. So let's say, what is AGI? Let's say we just ask this. So it's taking time to run and it's thinking. See, because it's a reasoning model, it's thinking and then will answer. So based on this, it will come up with the actual output of what AGI means. So if you see AGI, it stands for this, challenges, examples, and that's where the answer comes into picture. So the same answer, almost very similar it will be to a frontier model also. Very similar. With maybe they have more context, they will give more examples, but for some work that is needed, for some, you can easily use these local models in your system. So now you have a quick system that you can answer in an LLM running in your local, you don't need internet also. Now, the second part of it. So this is the terminal. I can straight away go to even here, and we can also download from here what we saw. This is the newest update for this interface. Earlier we were not able to download this. So from here itself we can download. So we will use, let's say, LLaMA, and say the same one. What is AGI? It will think and it will answer. Very similar to what ChatGPT does, right? It will take some time based on the size of the model, right? It will answer. Now let it answer. I will go back again to the terminal and show you something else. Let's say I want to know what are the models that I have downloaded, right? I'll just close this and say there are a lot of syntax for Ollama that we will see on some different video. What are the syntax available? But let's say I say Ollama list, and it will give me all the list of downloaded models that I have, and then I can say Ollama run, let's say go on. We can just copy this or just type in as it is. It will start initializing and the LLM starts. So this is how you can utilize the terminal, or you can utilize the Ollama interface. Now see, Ollama interface LLaMA, LLaMA 3.2 has given us such a nice answer over here. Same way what ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude might have given you. This is free, by the way. Now let's see the last extension to this is how do we create a application. Now, so we'll straight away go to our Visual Studio and see how do we do it. Now, this is what Ollama API. Now we spoke about API, right? That we can utilize the the closed source using APIs. This is what your Ollama APIs. All your models can be utilized from this API also. So it is always back because it is installed in my system. It will always have localhost, and 11434 is the default host that you can utilize. It will always, all the time, will be in the same until unless you have specified a specific localhost. And this is what the model API and the model LLaMA 3.2. So I'm telling what is the context, what is AGI, and then what we have seen, right? We are giving a role, that is user role, and the context, which is this, right? And then we are passing payload, which is model, that is model message that we have, which is this, and then stream. We don't want it to come in like coming and going. We just straight away give me an answer. Don't give me like rolling of the text. So that's where we, sorry, I have not run this. Let me run this. And the payload, and then we are passing in the response. It will take some time because it is running in the background, and then it will give me a response. What is AGI, right? That's simple. Now let it run. In the meantime, so this is the structured way. How do we run this? Now there is a package that we can download. Ollama has a Python package also, so we can do just import Ollama, and it's very simple. We just do ollama.chat, specify the model and the message, and it will give me an answer. So we'll just run this also. So in the previous one, it has given us the answer, and this is also running. Let's see that. Okay, now you can see I have given print and response. What you see, it was supposed to give me what is AGI, right? But it has given me something different, saying this is the model, this was created date, done, stop, and duration, and then at the end it has given the message, role as assistant, and then content. AGI stands for XYZ, all the processes that it comes. So that means I have done something wrong, or I have to specify something that will. So what you have to do is response we need the message, and from the message we need the content, right? That should be the output. So once we run this, this is the what the output comes in. So every time we have to run this, we have to specify not print response, we have to say print response message and the context. So that's is how now we can actually build applications, or we can actually use this to create a front end, and then use this Ollama API to run in the back end with whatever models we want. So this is what Ollama is all about, how we are using Ollama, and how to use a model that is free, uh, but gives us almost very similar to what the responses are supposed to be from a front end, closed source model. Now, what is the advantage is that the first advantage is that it is in our local system, the model is in our local. The second advantage, the most important, is the data that will be creating something out of this application. The data we use, maybe an Excel file or anything, or a PDF file, whatever the file data, it stays in our system, so nothing goes. Now on the other side of the story is the it is less, it's very slow, and it will not give you that much of power or context what a bigger model or a frontier model, because those are pioneer model that we have understood, right, will give. So we have to live with that, what is needed and what not is needed. That's choice that we have to take always, when to use a frontier model, when to use a local model like this. So this was a quick intro about Ollama and what are open source and closed source model. I hope you understood it, and thank you, and stay tuned.